I think we're live. Heath, I think we're live. Yeah. I was thinking before I was telling my wife today before I was thinking we should just do a video where we sit here silently for an hour. See people.
Yeah.
See people
join. I'm live.
What happened? Yeah, exactly right. We're back. We're back now. Listen, Heath, I'm so happy to have you here today. I thank you so much for joining my Sunday Live. This is something I've been doing every Sunday. You know how much I love your channel. And of course, I'm going to link all your socials. I can say socials, right? Below in the description, including your Patreon. My wife and I were having a debate today about Patreon, whether you're supposed to call people patrons or Patreons. I think you're supposed to call them patrons of the Patreon, right? Or the Patreon community.
I'm on your side. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's patrons,
I don't want to start
patrons.
In your relationship. I'm tweeting this right now live.
There you go.
Cinema Dave.
There you go.
Right now.
You can tweet it out and hopefully people will join us and maybe ask some questions. But again, I love your channel. I watch your channel. I save up your videos. This is what I do. Okay. Because I don't want to watch too many and then I run out. Right. And I was watching one this morning. I have to tell a little quick story here.
Okay.
My wife was sleeping and I was watching the one with Golden Grams, the retro Golden Grams.
Yeah.
Oh, and my wife's here. Jessie, hello. She's here.
She just came to talk about the Patreon.
Yeah, Patreon. So Heath agrees. Patrons. Yeah. Premium Blu-rays is here, and he's from the UK. He also has a channel. So welcome, Premium Blu-rays. But anyway, she was sleeping. I was watching the Golden Grams video, maybe a little bit too loud, but she immediately came out. Now, this was a hilarious video. If you haven't seen some of the Cyril reviews, I love your Cyril reviews as well. And you can see I have my Cyril at Midnight t-shirt on here, which is available. And I'll put the Threadless link also down below. But anyway, she came out. She never has breakfast. She immediately had a bowl of Lucky Charms. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. Vanessa, hello. Welcome.
I can't even do it. The name Vanessa is forever ingrained in my head as Bill Cosby because of the Cosby Show, and you can't do the Cosby like you used to could.
You can't do it, exactly.
Because of what you did. But I kind of want to do it anyway.
Well, the thing is that particular video has a lot of impressions in it. I love your impressions also. So I wondered, actually, my wife was asking the question, do you do any impressions around the house that you don't do on the videos?
Yeah, probably all of the non-politically correct ones. Probably, I'm probably doing Chris Rock all over the place.
That's right.
I do the Cosby around the house. Anything I think that's gonna get like too much heat on it, I'm like, I stay away from it. But,
exactly right.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
But you did You did the Tony Bennett. I love your Tony Bennett. It's hilarious.
That came out of nowhere. That's just Alec Baldwin doing Tony Bennett. I don't even know if I can do it.
So
something like this, right? It's like Tony Bennett. See, I don't even know. I don't even remember what I said. It just, you know what? It's just magic, and it just happens.
It just happens when it happens, right? Yeah. Vanessa says that the Tony Curtis, which is, obviously Dean Martin too is really good.
Man, I watched it's gonna be. Is it backwards? No, it's
it's backwards. But the thing is, when you pull it into it goes the opposite way.
Hold a mirror up, and so this is Tony Curtis and Piper Laurie, and the joke. This is the movie alleged. He doesn't actually say this, but the joke is he's like, "In yonder valley lies the castle of my father," but he doesn't actually say that. He actually like it's interesting because like the movie starts, so it's the there's this, which is Alibaba and the 40 Thieves. This is a 1944. These are Universal movies. And this is like 10 years later, and you can tell like in Alibaba, it's a bunch of white actors, but they're trying to be like Middle Eastern, and so but it's also like English. You know how Gladiator, Omar is it no, it's Oliver Reed's character is like where's he from in that movie? But it's like they hire like Anthony Hopkins. You hire Anthony Hopkins, he'll play whatever nationality you want, but he's just going to be Anthony Hopkins.
Right.
But so in the older one, the 40s one, they're still kind of trying to be like, well, my father, blah blah blah, blah, blah once with the open sesame to the door like that, and then you get to 10 years later, and he's just like, I am the son of Alibaba, and I'm here because I just want to have a good time, and I mean it's like. No pretense of
Nice.
not even trying. He's just Tony Curtis. But of course, that's what we want.
Well, but Tony Curtis too, and he's a little jarring when he shows up in Spartacus as an example, right? Isn't he? Because I think he's in Spartacus too, and you're like, Tony Curtis, what are you doing here? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So anyway, we love the impressions. We love the cereal reviews, and like I said, since my wife had the like half a bowl of the Lucky Charms, which, by the way, I don't know if you've seen the new Lucky Charms box, but the person on the Lucky Charms box doesn't look the same as when I was a kid. I feel like they've changed the Lucky Charms, person on the box. So we were, looking at that this morning, and then she's had half a bowl of cereal. She never has breakfast, so it's been kind of an odd day around this house. I can tell you that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's that influence. You start it with the cereal, and
Well, when you're a kid, here's the thing. When you're a kid, like I remember when I was a kid, I used to have Frosted Flakes, and I was telling her this morning that I used to have maybe half a box of Frosted Flakes, which is not good. I know you talk about the salt content,
and then you slept for the rest of the day, right?
Then you're zooming for the rest of the day, right? Isn't that what happens? But that's what you do when you're a kid, right? You just have like a bowl of cereal.
Come down.
Well, then you come down. Yeah, exactly right. So
I'm like, Dave, are you okay? And you're just like,
I need more Frosted Flakes. That's what that's the thing. So
yeah,
I was going to ask you about this too. This has been on my mind all week. I know there's been some discussion about this, but the Charlie Brown special is going to Apple TV, I guess, or Apple Plus or whatever it is, right? And I think people are concerned. People are upset about it. I'm particularly upset about it because I missed out on the Blu-ray. I'm sure you have all these. I'm sure you have all these. Mary, hello. Mary's here. Thanks for joining us, Mary. So I think we're in this era right now too of, these things are disappearing when you search for it on Amazon. Again, I have this fear of missing out, right?
Yeah.
And so you can't find it now, right? Amazon, it's gone. It's so, and
I'm trying to decide if I can reach them from my seat.
You can, if you want to grab them, sure, go for it.
Keep talking.
I'm here by myself with Heath's shelves.
Actually, I can't. I don't see them now. Oh, I just knocked a bunch of stuff over.
Oh, that's all right. That's okay. Has everything settled there?
No, it's still falling. Okay.
Oh no. Charlie Brown.
Like a house of cards. This entire room is just like, you don't want to sneeze in here. It's just like
the stacks of things, right? Yeah.
Yeah. One of these days, like, I'm gonna cough and everything's just gonna
go. Yeah. Vanessa said, what a debacle, right? I mean, because now you can't get it, right? It's 50. I was looking this morning. You can get it on Amazon through a third-party seller, and it's $50 now. But what's Charlie Brown?
Are they just selling? So they're not out of print, right?
No.
They're just in demand right now.
Yep.
Because it's like when it happened again. It happened. It was a couple of months ago with something. I know it happened with 30 Rock because they pulled a couple of episodes of 30 Rock off of streaming, and then the Blu-rays were just like hotcakes. They were going like crazy.
No, but are we? I mean, I feel like, and I know you've talked about this on your channel, but we're in like the best age, I think, for physical media because of what's happening with streaming right now too. So Vanessa said she has it on she has it on Blu-ray, but that's not the point, right? What are people without the internet supposed to do, right? Because they can't stream that anymore. But I think the bigger thing here too is
children.
Yeah, exactly. But well, the other thing is but you and I mean, I watch it every year on television, right? So that's gone now, right? I mean, it's not going to be on TV anymore. Even so I think that's a shame right there. I mean, but I guess I'm mostly feeling bad because I don't have a copy of it. but anyway.
I was like, do I have doubles? I'm trying to remember if I can't even find them. I don't know where they're probably downstairs by the TV, but like I can't even find them. If I had doubles, I'd send you I'm not even. Yeah, that wasn't even the point there. But what I'm saying, and I appreciate it, but at the same time, I know.
I was thinking to myself too that, and again, you've talked about this a lot, how important physical media is. I feel like I think we've said this before too. I feel like I'm living in a library right now. That's what I feel like, because you've got your shelves. I have my shelves. We look out for each other. We look out for other YouTubers and other collectors, and I want to say something too about your Patreon. Now that we've resolved the Patreon thing, you have one of the best Patreons, by the way. Anybody watching this on the replay or anybody in the comments here, Heath, I think you have one of the best Patreons out there. I've looked at Patreon many times before. The amount of premium content that you provide is absolutely amazing. I love it. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you find the hours in the day to do it, but it's one of the best ones.
Thank you.
And the way I think of it is that and I'm part of the community too, is that I'm buying you a coffee every month is the way I feel about, the price of Starbucks and everything like that, because I think for your gold tier, and you can talk about the tiers if you want, it's just amazing the amount of content you provide. So thanks for that.
Oh, thank you. I take it very seriously. I take the responsibility very seriously because people are putting money up. They're putting money on the line, and that is huge to me. And because, one, I think it's just my personality is I want to serve. I want to provide that. But I also know like how hard I've struggled to balance day job and what I really want to do, which is create Cyril at Midnight content. And the closer I get to being able to just creating Cyril at Midnight content, like I'm so grateful for it. And that's priority number one. So I know people can get upset because they feel like I'm putting stuff behind a paywall, but I do still put up like 3 free videos every single week. So it's not like I've chosen one over the other. I just take it really, really seriously. And that if I could just make Patreon content all the time, like I'd be so happy with that, because you guys, the people that put up the money to do that, you've spoken, like that's the hardest thing you can do, like that wall, that barrier is that's the hardest one for us to get over, right? It's like, well, putting money, it's okay to be like, well, I like Cyril at Midnight, but if you've put your money up, then, and the top tier is $7. I tried to price it for like a McDonald's extra value meal.
Sure. Yeah.
And it means a lot to me, and I want to, yeah, I mean, I'm talking in circles now, but it's just that I want to serve that person first. I want to, because that's my inner circle. You guys, if you're doing that, you get it. Like you're on board. You're not going to be like, this Heath guy, I don't know, right. That you don't do that. And I know I don't have to talk, with YouTube in general, with my main channel videos, I talk more broadly, but with Patreon stuff, I can just more be myself.
Yeah.
And so that's enjoyable too, is I don't have to do so much like singing and dancing. I can just, not that I don't, because that's part of who I am, but I can just lower my guard down and just be honest and talk about
whatever you want. Well, no, talk about whatever you like, right? I mean, that's
do the Chris Rock impressions without
any problems, right?
Yeah.
No, but I think I think even on your main channel, we appreciate the unfiltered Heath as well, right? The uncensored Heath, or whatever you want to call it. Just kind of the freestyle, I feel like too. A lot of people do these extremely edited videos, and it doesn't seem as personal. Yeah. And I was watching a video on YouTube this morning too, and I was thinking to myself that we're so lucky. I feel like we're so lucky. I feel lucky myself to be just able to watch your channel and other channels and have connections on film and TV that has meant so much to me in my life. I mean, that's the thing. I think for me, obviously people have different opinions. People are watching different things.
Yeah.
But film to me is very personal. TV is very personal to me. And I was thinking that I was watching a video this morning too, and I was thinking that we have a better empathy, I think, for others when we watch films and watch their stories and watch these different things.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think it's really great. So anyone watching this on the replay, I'm going to link your Patreon information below in case anybody
Thank you.
doesn't know about it already, but I think it's great. And I just
can I address something you just said there too? Yeah, like I agree with you. I think movies are so important for building empathy and getting into the minds of people that are outside of yourself.
Yep.
And I'm a fairly apolitical guy. I don't really have an agenda one way or the other. I guess if I have an agenda, it's think for yourself. And we're living in a time where I don't know that it's ever been more acceptable to just cut people off. You're like, I don't agree with your politics. I don't ever want to hear another word from you again. Unfollow, block, whatever. Like we just cut people out that we don't agree with.
Yeah.
Movies are like they're the last place I think we're getting other points of views and getting inside of people that maybe don't think like ourselves.
Yep.
And they're tremendously, and that's why sometimes I get discouraged that people are watching only a particular kind of movie, or they're watching the same movies over and over, or they say I don't watch movies that are not in color because they're boring or something like that. What about what are the stories? The stories, man.
Yeah.
No. Yeah.
No, but my wife was even saying too that YouTube lets you invite your friends into your living room, which is so true, right? And I feel like the film community has been so supportive. I know again, people have different opinions, as you say, but I always think like there's a lot I have to learn. I want to learn more. There's no way I can watch all the films and watch all the TV shows, but I love to learn and find some new things. I think also too, we're always in the situation where we're trying to decide, do I watch something I've seen many times before because it's a comfort thing? I feel like it's a comfort thing. Like I have like comfort movies and comfort TV shows, or do I want to really try something new? And I try to mix it up a little bit of both. One of the things I want to talk about today too is I feel like over time now I'm sort of building myself when I was a kid, they had the TV guide, right? And I would mark up the TV guide when I came home and say that I'm watching this show. I got the TV here. This is where I'm going to be doing. I've started to, with my collection now, build up like a TV lineup of stuff that I want to watch. So I'll watch like a Scooby-Doo, and then I'll watch, a Batman, and then I'll watch, I wanted to mention this too. I pulled this too, because this is one of the things that you had brought up many times, like a Johnny Quest. I'll put on a Johnny Quest, which I know you featured on your channel, and you talked about it, because this particular restoration here is just amazing. It's just amazing to look at. And it just I'm sure I watched the show on a black and white TV when I was a kid or whatever.
Right.
But
but it looks beautiful. Didn't look that good when it first went out,
No, it didn't. And the music on that, just to talk about Johnny Quest, but the music on there is just great. I was just, the first time I put it on, I'm like, wow, this music is great. I never noticed
it. Holds up like gangbusters. That whole show is it's still so much fun.
Yeah. I was just noticing Luke is here from Razor Wire Reviews. Luke, thanks for joining us. Premium Blu-rays also. So feel free to ask us a question. We're just going to ramble on here as much as we can. And the other thing I picked up too, as long as we're talking about this, is another great set, which I think you had mentioned, and it was on special, and it's this Batman set, which I haven't really seen. I'm sure maybe I saw some of these at one point, but this is a great set, and it's at a great price, right now too, right? A lot of these things are really coming down in price, I feel like.
So do I understand you're watching some of those for the first time?
Some of them, I think so. Yeah. I just started the set. So yeah.
Great show. And in my opinion, Batman the Animated Series is the best Batman ever, because it captures so much of the kind of like the X-Men animated series too, is it's able to tap into some of the best Batman stories, the best Batman villains, but they can do it in a way that 22 minutes or however long. And like, they have great writers, they have A-list talent. That show could not have been made 5 years earlier. It could not have been made 5 years later. It exists in this perfect time capsule coming after those Tim Burton movies where everybody was taking it seriously and they just wanted to make really good Batman stories. And it's almost like they were making it for themselves.
Right.
Even later in that run, it gets a little bit more kid friendly. They bring in Robin, they make it like the Batman and Robin show, and it feels a little bit different. But it was an Emmy-winning series. Like, some of those episodes won Emmys.
Yeah.
Great writing.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a great time to pick this stuff up because of the sales and everything like that too. And I know you do some deal alerts too on your, as part of the Patreon, but also on Twitter and things like that. Yeah. That stuff is great for the film community too. Things will sell out pretty quickly probably, but it's great to get a copy of it. But as I was saying before, I don't know if you do this, because I was going to ask you this too, with all the videos you're making and things, when do you sit down? Do you sit down and say, listen, I just need to watch something for myself? And if you do that, what are you watching these days just for yourself? If you don't mind sharing that.
That's the struggle. Is I often listen, I love making Cyril. Like I said, Patreon, so important to me. Making videos for you guys that support, so important to me. I usually choose that over myself. But it does become a problem, because then you've got massive stacks of stuff and you find out that, like, okay, I've promoted this and I've promoted this and this. What have I watched? What I'm doing now is I'm going through my Kino order, which is why I was watching these Alibaba movies. This is my last Kino order. Those are for me. So I'm on a George Papard kick. I'm sorry, that's backwards, but
no, that's okay.
I'm on a Papard kick. They put out 3 Papard movies on the same day. And so this is my favorite of them so far, which is PJ. If it's like they made a detective movie for me, it's like in 1967, they were like, it's a 1968 movie, but they shot it in 67. So it's like, they were like, there's going to be this guy in about, 30, 40 years, and he's really going to love like 60s culture and intelligent, like post-noir detectives. Let's mash those up for an audience of one. And like that, it's just for me.
That's
it's
you.
just me. Yeah, but I love this. This is one of my favorite discoveries. I gotcha. And this was also a really cool discovery for me.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's a
Buccaneers girl. This is it's Yvonne DiCarlo, Yvonne DiCarlo, who for most people will know her as Lily from the Munsters. She was Herman Munster's wife, Lily. But what a great career through the 40s and the 50s. And she it's an old style swashbuckler pirate movie, but it's also got a romance in it, and it's got it's like all genres, like it's genre defying, and I like that because it's funny. It's also got like ship battles, like actual ship battles. I guess it's a fairly low budget movie, but you can tell they really spent some time on it, and so I mean, like it's a lot of it's probably done in miniature, but you can't really tell. And whereas everything now is CGI, like here's an actual ship and they're firing cannons at another actual ship. And then this other actual ship sinks below the water. I mean, it's impressive stuff. So I'm doing that.
By the way, Ian said, I really dig Heath's passion, honesty, and wide-ranging interests. So, and I would totally agree. And Mary said she's doing some Kino shopping while we're talking, because aren't they doing, they're doing another sale, right? They did. Yeah. I mean, they do so many sales. What a great company that is. I think you turned me out of that company, even though I realized that I had a copy of The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 in my collection already. That was a Kino title that I didn't even realize. I just happened to start looking at the labels.
Nice.
But yeah. And so, yeah, that's just an amazing. I was going to ask you too, since you brought it up a little bit about, I was recently watching this Hammer film, Sword of Sherwood Forest. I don't know if you've seen that or if you like that one, but and that's going to be on that new Hammer box, right? The new Hammer box from Mill Creek, which I pre-ordered.
Call back to Oliver Reed.
Yeah, which I pre-ordered too, by the way. If I know maybe you are planning to talk about it, but the Hammer box set coming out from Mill Creek, I thought is excellent. And so I pre-ordered that. The price came way down, and I think it's still out there for like $73 or something.
Yeah, it's come way down. It's 20 movies. There's new special features on it from Ballyhoo Films, commentaries on a lot of those movies. One of the things that I love about that set, and so there's a Hammer video coming. There's an Icons of Horror Hammer Films coming to Cyril at midnight, like maybe tomorrow, maybe soon, this week, in the next week. And one of the things that is interesting, like Hammer is an icon of horror, but they weren't just a horror studio, and they made a lot of other kinds of movies. They made noir films. They made, I love what you're talking about, the swashbuckler kind of movies, pirate movies, anything that was popular, they chased, and they did a pretty good job with it because they had Peter Cushing and they had Christopher Lee and they had Oliver Reed on, they had that was their regular circle of talent. And that Sword of Sherwood Forest movie is a lot of fun. And isn't Peter Cushing the Sheriff of Nottingham in that movie?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
he's really good.
So he gets to be evil in a different way.
I realized something because we were talking about comfort films, but because I saw a lot of these films on TV when I was younger, but I didn't know they were Hammer films, right?
Yeah.
But I realized when I was watching it that since they overdub the sound, they have like leaves rustling and they overdub the sound, it sort of gives you like a kind of a comfort, sleepy feeling when you're watching those, because the sounds are a little bit louder than the rest of the stuff that's going on, right? So if someone's walking on leaves or riding a horse or something like that, there's extra sounds there that I thought, this is really interesting that it affects me that way.
So there's an accident. There's a video for you. You can run off with us, and this is yours. This is my gift to you, Dave. You could do accidental ASMR from Foley work.
Oh no. Accidental.
Huge.
Is that a whole new genre for stuff? Accidental ASMR. That's hilarious.
Big money.
Big money in that, right? Exactly. Yeah. Premium Blu-ray said, in the UK, art house cinemas are still open, so only films to watch are those. Could this be a good thing for cinema? Interesting. Well, I know cinemas are closing over there too, right, in the UK, but also here, there's not a lot of cinema going on either, right? There's not a lot of movie theaters open right now that I know of.
Yeah, ours is open, but they don't have anything.
So
it's classics,
So is it just limited audience then, or do you have drive-ins open or anything like that down where you are?
We I don't think we have drive-ins. There was one about an hour away, but I think they're gone. They might still be there, but I think they're gone. Our big AMC theater, those are open, but they're doing limited. I haven't been back. I don't trust. I don't trust. I trust myself. I don't trust everybody else to be mindful. Especially when I see people just like, you're just out at the grocery store and somebody's like, it's like, no, that's okay. I'll just stay over here.
I can stay home. You have plenty of screens at home, right? Which is the same thing for me, right? I can just watch movies here. I don't have to go out.
Absolutely. Well, that's another thing. Like they're showing like Back to the Future. They're showing, well, I just bought the 4K of Back to the Future and I guarantee you it's going to look better and be a better experience than it will be at the theater.
Right.
Listen, I love the theater experience, but I mean, that's a whole topic right there.
But let's talk about a little bit, what do you think is going to happen there? Because I love the theater too, but I was probably before the pandemic, I was going maybe 2 or 3 times a year just for blockbusters, maybe in the summer, because I can watch all the films here at home. And most of the time I'm not really watching modern films anyway, or at least recent films. Right. But what do you think? I mean, what do you think is going to happen there? Can there be a new model for the theaters, or I really don't know.
I don't know either, but I don't think it's going to end well. And I hate to say that because I know, I mean, even in our own Patreon community, the Cyril at Midnight Patreon community, there are people there that are employed by the theater industry, the cinema industry. But the problem is that there's been so much, growth is not the word, so much. AMC has bought so much of their competition, monopolizing. There's been so much of this monopolizing and putting other people out of business so that you're the only one left. And now AMC, there's like 3 companies that own just about everything, and they're talking about bankruptcy.
Right.
And if you don't have new movies to put in the theater, which they don't, and if they did put them in the theater, I think we learned with Christopher Nolan's movie Tenet that it's not movies are not going to save a theater. Yeah. One movie can't save a theater, and the budgets aren't. It's going to trickle down to the lack of the theater support is going to impact the budgets on future films. They're not shooting anything right now anyway, really. Right. But when they can, they're not going to have the budgets that they used to have. So the spectacle movies are going to suffer. I'm ready for spectacle movies to kind of go away.
Right.
I think what we're witnessing right now is a major sea change in the industry like we have not seen in the last 20 years.
Right. I agree.
Because, the Marvel model doesn't work without, those movies are regimented so that you invest $250 million in those movies. You're going to get that back on your theater. You're going to get this for the first weekend. You're going to get this for the first month. You're going to get this on streaming. You're going to get this on home media. It's all planned out. And that goes into the stew when you're financing these things. And if you take away $500 million for theatrical screenings, well, that you don't have a movie anymore. So
yeah.
I think that's over, but that does mean at the same time that we can get back to the kind of movies that we used to have.
Sure.
Because there's a whole generation of movie fans that don't know those, like they haven't grown. Like I came into my movie fandom really. And then, we had all the 80s classics, Goonies and all that stuff, but the 90s was like the birth of it was a very special kind of movie. We talked on Facebook. I think maybe we talked about it somewhere, you and I.
Sure.
But like all the Miramax movies, all the early Quentin Tarantino stuff, like all those movies that were like $3 million and they had Christopher Walken or Harrison Ford or like really cool talent, young early Brad Pitt stuff. We've gotten so far. A lot of those guys had to go to TV because the jobs that they used to get didn't exist anymore.
We're not there. Yeah.
I think we're going to get back to that because there's no other choice.
Right. And see, I grew up in the 70s too, so I love independent film. So I would like, I hate to see anything happen to any theaters, and I love live theater too, and I love concerts, and so it's more than just the theater experience. Just getting together with a group of people is a challenge right now. But I totally agree with you. The budgets are going to change, and the whole industry will change. I was thinking about one of the films that I'm watching, to see what happens with, is the Bond film. I'm a big fan of the James Bond franchise, and Of course, the movie got delayed. I don't even know if it's still coming out in November, if it's next April, or I read an article that said maybe it's going to,
I believe.
Right, but is it going to Netflix, do you think, or is it going to go somewhere? Because that's the thing. I don't really know. I thought I read something.
I don't think they know either. I think they're holding. It's a holding pattern right now.
Right, but I mean, at some point, with the way, if the movie's in the can, you just kind of sell it, to the to the highest bidder, right, and say, well, Netflix, you want to put it on? I'm sure tons of people would watch it on Netflix. I don't know that if that would increase their subscriber base, because that's been slowing down. I think. I mean, at the beginning of the pandemic, there were more Netflix subscriptions, but I was reading that it's really slowing down at this point. So,
were you excited about that movie before all the delays and everything?
Yeah. I was ready to. I mean, that was one of the ones I was going to go see in the theater, right? Because I usually go see Bond films in the theater, or larger movies, right? Not independent films necessarily, but if I'm going to save my theater experience for a blockbuster. So, Rob is here, by the way. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Rob.
Yeah, he says rumors of the next Bond going to streaming will kill cinemas. I would agree with that, but I think there's some talk about it. Independent theater owners could come back too. I was just thinking about this morning too. When I was when I was in high school, I was going to independent theaters that were showing independent films, and that's pretty much all I went to. I went to like a few blockbusters, but there was a special town where I could go and see like foreign films or independent films or things like that. Maybe more of those will come back because it's a smaller crowd. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so, I would love that, and I would go to support those too, because I would think that there'd be smaller crowds, but there'd also be maybe a better sense of awareness of your surroundings. And that's the thing with the mainstream movie scene right now, is there's just not a lot of awareness. One of the worst theatrical experiences I've had recently happened at Shazam. And these people talked to me like they came in. I went to go see it. Like, it was after it had opened, and it was during the opening weekend of one of the Avengers, like Endgame, I guess. And so I was like, what a great time to go see a DC movie is when there's a Marvel movie debuting. So I go see it. And then these people come in like right before it starts. And I'm in Alabama. And so these people were like the stereotype of the worst of what you would think. And they were like, hey man, can you hear the TV? Can you hear the screen? And I was like, I never spoke to them. I never even looked at them or acknowledged them, but they talked to me through the whole, and then they talked to each other. And like the dad was like berating the kid because I don't even remember what all he was just real. It was horrible. It was the word. It was just talking to the screen. And
and then you realize you could have stayed home, right, and had some silence while you watch a film. I mean, I think that's happened to me before too. Is that you realize you're paying so much for concessions. You get a popcorn and you get a soda, and it's like $40 or $50 for the whole thing. And that's what I've paid before. And it's like, well, I could buy 5 or 6 movies for that. I could have them in my library and not do that. And again, I love the theaters, don't get me wrong, but I feel like I have some screens here. I can watch the movies at home and have my own popcorn. I can make my own popcorn.
And there's a larger conversation to be had there. And I think I'm going to have it like Vanessa and I have talked about doing the video. Okay, that's it. That's a good one. That's a good one. Everyone that was here just left. They're like, what? They're on Twitter right now with the keyboards. There's a conversation to be had about how your collection can quickly become like, I collect these movies because I like these movies, versus like my George Papard movies. Like, I didn't have any experience with these before I bought them, but for $10, like, that's not even a movie here, and I have it forever, and that's how collections can quickly get out of control. But at the same time, what a wonderful time to have access to this stuff, because these movies won't be around forever. These licenses won't exist forever. Yeah. And you're saying, $50, how many movies can you get for $50 if you have forever?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, sometimes one of the things that worries me sometimes, this is probably an irrational fear, but I think to myself, should I have an extra Blu-ray player in case, because what happens if our whole library, something happens with Blu-ray, or you can't get Blu-ray players anymore, or, whatever it is. I have, my PS3 and I've got a Blu-ray player, but these are things I worry about, because I'm like, I have all these movies. I want to be able to play them forever for sure. But what happens if I can't?
People bring that up a lot to me. That's the fear. I mean, there's so much fear driving. I'm not saying you, but just, like, in general, there's just so much fear driving. So like, it's the end of physical media. Well, it's been the end of physical media for at least 10 years, and it's still here.
No, it's alive and well. I think you've said it many times. It's definitely alive and well, even better than it used to be, I feel like, because I would say over the last year, I've increased my collection so much just from looking at sales and looking at things, gaps in my collection that I wanted to fill in because the prices are so great.
Right.
So I think because theaters are closed, there's some, people are capitalizing on that fact too and saying, hey, let's do a sale. Let's try to unload as much as we can.
Right.
Which I think is great.
I think players are going to be around. I don't think anybody needs to worry about players because there's so many of us and physical media is still so popular. I know that it's not trendy to say that it is, but it is really popular. There are thousands and thousands. I mean, look at though I'm not a huge fan of Scream Factory, the new Friday the 13th box set, 13,000 units for that. That's a lot. I mean, it's not, and here's the thing is as a lot as that is, that's not even how you should say that, but that's not enough. Like they're going to sell out of that like that. That's 13,000 units is not enough. So
and you have a video on your channel. I know where you talked about that too, where they just said, I know your point was just print as many as you can.
Yeah.
So we can all get them. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's everything do a limited edition.
Have to be limited.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Now, licenses are one thing. I understand there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen on that one. But I guess my point is there's a lot of us out there. There's a lot of people who are doing exactly what we're doing. And I would imagine as long as we have dollars to spend, somebody's going to make players for us. I can go on Amazon and get a 3.5 floppy disk drive, like a new technology. Like people are making these. Why? Right. I don't know. But someone wants 3.5 floppy disks, and they're like, I got to run so-and-so from DOS. Well, someone's got you covered.
Someone's making them.
Someone's making them. So, and people make 8-track play. Like Crossley has an 8-track player built into those little square units that they make. A record player on top, 8-track on the side, cassette player on the other side. So
that's perfect. Yeah.
As long as there's a drive, there should be supply for it.
I mean, I still have a VHS player too, but it started eating some of my tapes, and then I realized, I'm going to have to get another one of those. And then I had a Laserdisc player at 1.2. Not that I would necessarily use that, but sometimes I price those because I'm kind of like, well, maybe I should get a couple of Laserdiscs. I don't know why I would do that, but
see, those are harder to find. Players for those are a lot harder to find because I think those are dead technologies. I know there are some companies that still put out VHS tapes and stuff, but by and large, those are obsolete technologies.
Yeah.
Whereas discs still account for literally billions every single year. So I don't know.
Well, in the comments here too, Rob says he has 3 Blu-ray players, so that's good. I guess I need to get one more so I can sleep comfortably. But then there was some conversation in the comments too about drive-ins. I know you said you weren't sure on the drive-ins, but I know there's a lot of events that seem to be happening at drive-ins. I wouldn't mind if drive-ins came back. I remember going to see going to the drive-in when I was a kid, and they were fun. It was fun to go. But that's a way to do it if they were going to bring
I would
things
love
into
repertory cinemas, like go see. I don't know. I ever finished my thought because I got off on.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
But like, if people talk in movies, like if I go to Shazam, those people aren't going to go see the French Connection. Like they're not showing up for that. So I would think it'd be a more cinephile audience for something like that really wants to be there for the movie. So I'd be all for any sort of a classics line, and they're doing that at the mainstream theaters right now, but that's not really, again, like I don't need to go see Back to the Future. That's the one that keeps coming to mind, Back to the Future. Like I have the best presentation of that.
Is that the Blu-ray or the 4K that you've bought the most times? You feel like Back to the Future, or do you think there's another?
Probably the Evil Dead movies are the ones that I've bought the most because that was, Anchor Bay milked that license for all it was worth. They would do. I know Army of Darkness alone. They had a like the first version of the film, and then they had like a bootleg version of the film, if I can remember. It had like a brown paper bag cover, if I remember correctly, and then they put out a version that had both versions of that on it. So that's the third version that I think I bought. And then I guess we moved into Blu-ray, and they've done similar tactics there.
I have the brown paper bag cover of the DVD for Army of Darkness. I think I have that one, and but then the other 2 I have on Blu-ray. But
those are, well, I don't know. That's 4 times, right? Well, VHS, then the DVDs, and then Blu-ray. I haven't bought any of the Evil Dead movies on 4K yet. I will, but I haven't yet. But Back to the Future, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I'm still a little on the fence on 4K. I have a few 4Ks, and I know I need to move in that direction. I like the 4K Blu-ray digital combo. That's my favorite combo if the price is right. But I feel like there's the colors are great. I'm sure there's lots of benefits to 4K and everything like that. But Blu-ray is just fine for me. I don't have to. I mean, DVD is fine if that's all I can get, right? I mean, I'd rather have the content, but Blu-ray is really, I'm fine with Blu-ray at this point.
The movie should be first. I mean, that's what I always say is like, I don't necessarily care how someone watches a movie. Just watch the movie, be in the conversation about the movie. But then that being said, I do I love 4K because for those, like for some of these movies, like we watched Hocus Pocus last night. We watched.
I saw your Instagram on that, and you said you loved it. Yeah, because
I don't love this movie, but the presentation, it looks so good. Like it looks like the goal of a 4K presentation for something shot on film. With digital, it's iffy because everything's so digital. Like anything that's shot on digital now is not really. I don't know that you're going to see all the benefits, but if something's shot on film and the 4K is done well, it looks like you're in the theater watching that projected onto that big screen. All the nuances of color, the film grain, it's the closest you can get to that theatrical experience.
Right.
But
I was going to say, do you have any old, because this was in the comments too, 4K is noticeable for some of the older films. Is there an older film that you think looks really good in 4K? Like
The Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Okay, great.
Dave, unbelievable.
Is that the one? Is that the one to get?
Yes. If anybody's on the fence about 4K and you like The Wizard of Oz, that's your disc number 1. That's the first one I would get. I mean, it is. I can't say it looks like it was shot yesterday. It looks like maybe it was shot in the 70s. Like it's unbelievable.
Wow.
There's so much texture and just like detail, and they've taken so much just age off of it. And the color, this is not a joke. This is not a line. I'm serious. You can count the bricks on the yellow brick road.
Nice.
It used to just look like a yellow road with maybe some cobble to it. You can see every individual brick. It's stunning.
It's a great movie too. I've been wanting to get It's a Wonderful Life on 4K. That's the one that's next on my list. And I think maybe Gladiator too. Now I know we're mentioning some Vanessa titles here too, because I think Vanessa she said Wizard of Oz is her favorite movie, but I think she has Gladiator, if I'm remembering correctly. And that's one I've been eyeing on 4K as well, because I got Spartacus on 4K and I thought I should have Gladiator as well.
I need to get that one too. I've developed a real aversion to a certain Mr. Phoenix lately that I don't know. I have a hard time watching him now.
Yeah. Is there a reason for that?
I mean, there is. But do I say it? I think he is just very. I better be careful.
No, it's okay. Go ahead. This is live. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah. I think he's a very talented actor. I think he is also really we watched an interview with him on one of those maybe CBS Sunday Morning or something. I saw it was a recent interview. He is living in the shadow of his brother.
Yeah,
and I think he has a responsibility. He feels a responsibility to not just serve his own career, but the career that his brother would have had. Yeah. And I think he takes it way more seriously than I think maybe is healthy. And I think that he will never live up to the standards that he set for himself. And he often comes across as it's too precious. Everything is too precious. And I can't touch it. Like he's trying way too hard, and it's uncomfortable.
I would agree. I think I had some issues too when he was doing that stunt with Letterman at one point too, where there was a midpoint in his career where he did like a documentary, like a rap kind of documentary, and everybody thought he was leaving the movie business, and then he came back and everything. So that it was a little bit off the rails there, I felt like. But
it's self-loathing. Like he's got so much. Is like he has this fame. He sought this fame. He's achieved this fame. He doesn't want the fame. It's like this self-loathing thing.
Yeah.
And this is a good opportunity for me to tell you my Joker theory. I think I've put it out there. I didn't care for Joker, but I reserve the theory that the Joker is a social commentary on comic book movies, because this is Joaquin Phoenix is the guy from I'm Not There, I'm Not Here.
I'm not there. I think it's like, yeah, one of those.
Which is about
there or here. Yeah.
It's a very meta movie experiment showing the artifice of the movie star. It's like they take, that's what that whole thing is about, is like, well, it's a deconstruction of the movie star. And if Joker is a deconstruction of the comic book movie that they just haven't told us about, that it's just like, we're going to take down every cliche of the comic book movie. We're going to take it we're going to take this character super seriously in a way that breaks that character. Then it's a genius. It's masterpiece.
Yeah.
I don't think that it is. I think it's sincere.
Well, you and I talked about this before too. Obviously, Scorsese, it seems like, was consulted on the movie, right? And so there's a whole issue with Joker, in that way too, right? Where you and I talked about, Taxi Driver is not my favorite. I can appreciate what it was in the 70s or whatever, but it's definitely not my favorite movie. But it seemed like Scorsese was consultant on the film, and then they never gave him credit for it and all this kind of stuff.
He was going to direct the movie. They approached him to direct that movie. And that movie, directed by Martin Scorsese, is fantastic because it's a commentary on Taxi Driver. It's a commentary on Mean Streets. It's especially a commentary on the king of comedy. So much so that you've reversed the De Niro role by having De Niro, instead of being the Pupkin character, he's now the Jerry Lewis character. Yep. You take it away from Martin Scorsese. You don't give him producer credit, story credit, consulting credit. You give him nothing. It kind of seems like you're just stealing.
No, you're right. You're right about that. And King of Comedy is so brilliant as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just what a that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
So I know there's
Joker
lots of
has
stuff.
the "you talking to me" scene.
Yeah.
Where he's talking to himself in the mirror, pretending. I mean, it's literally you talking to me,
like a ripoff there. Yeah, exactly.
But there's no acknowledgement of where they're taking these things from, and I can't.
Is there even a Scorsese cut though? That's what Rob was saying. Is there? I don't think he was that involved, right? Or did he start to do the movie, or he was just consulted on it?
Hard from it. I think he was in early talks to release the Scorsese cut. I think he was in talks to direct it, and he ultimately said, "I don't want to do a comic book movie."
Yep.
And he walked away, and they were like, "Well, we're doing it without you." And they did.
Nice. Anyway, 4K. I mean, 4K though in general, I think is good. I'm just, it's nice to hear you talk about it a little bit, because I know, when these new technologies come up, I think we're all maybe a little resistant or a little concerned that it's going to come and then it's going to go away and things like that. But it's obviously here to stay. And I have an Amazon Fire Stick too, so it's 4K streaming to my TV, and I can see the differences already when I got that with the colors and everything like that. So. The Wizard of Oz is one. It's a Wonderful Life, Gladiator. I think all of these are really good. Spartacus looks great. From like I said, I've talked about Spartacus a lot.
Yes.
But I wanted to see if we missed anything else in the comments here before we move on.
Someone asked us about the new David Fincher movie. I'm not.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about that one. I'm looking through my list too.
There's a new one of the best films I've seen all year, actually. Is just kind of reminded me of it, is on Netflix. It's called The Trial of the Chicago 7, but it's an Aaron Sorkin written and directed movie. But it's one of my favorite films. I saw it last weekend. And speaking of, I'm trying to challenge myself and watch something current also, as much as I don't, as I watch, a lot of older films. But that's one of the best films I've seen all year. It's a great movie, really well written. So. And I still watch some Netflix from time to time. I have, Amazon Prime. Do you have any favorite streaming services at this point? Or are you pretty much not really watching too much?
We have them all. Bree is a big streamer. If she was sitting next to me, she could talk to you about some of her favorite stuff, but I just don't have time for it. My schedule is laid out. Like, I'm working on late November stuff now, like it's so spoken for. But she loves it. And I think she would say her favorite is probably Netflix. But we have Netflix, we have Amazon Prime, we have Hulu. We're big streamer. She's a big streamer.
Well, Disney Plus. Do you have Disney Plus now?
Yeah, we have Disney Plus. Haven't fired up Disney Plus in months, but I guess with Mandalorian coming back.
Mandalorian season 2 coming at the end of the week. But I sat down yesterday. This is a weird segue, but to watch because I'm a big fan of Frozen. Okay. Yeah. And I watched the new Olaf. Yeah, I was excited because there's a new Olaf special on there, and then I was watching it yesterday with Jesse, and there's like 9 minutes of credits at the end. I thought this is because it's only 12 minutes, okay, and it's like an origin story for Olaf. And I was watching, I was really looking forward to it. And then there's 9 minutes of credit or 5 minutes of credits or something at the end. I go, what is this? Is it over now?
Animated short.
What is going on? I know. I was like, I was a little disappointed. I love Disney Plus, but I'm just saying.
Korea team, Japan team, Canadian team, Los Angeles team. Barcelona team.
Why are we watching 5 minutes of credits though? I appreciate all those people, but I'm just saying
you don't care about them. You don't want to see their names. You're like, I don't care.
I want to see more. I want to see more Olaf.
I want my warm hugs.
Exactly right. I don't know. I think they have some pretty decent content. It's good too. I mean, the price is right for Disney Plus. I mean, so we have that. I have the Criterion channel. I have Vudu. I'm maintaining a digital library on Vudu. I know you. I don't know if you've mentioned this in the past, but you don't really have a digital library. Do you ever redeem any of those codes, or do you have anything like
those codes? Now I usually I either pass them on to friends that like I have a small like Comic Book Savant. This guy that he's been on Cyril at Midnight a lot. We do a lot of collaborations. We've been friends for well over a decade, 13, 14 years. He's digital only, so he gets first dibs on any digital codes. And if it's something that I think that Mini Midnight, my daughter, would be interested in having digital, because of course she doesn't care about physical media. She just wants to watch it on a tablet or a phone or whatever. Sometimes we redeem them for her too, but I don't. I guess the digital collection. I have like 500 movies digitally, but I don't ever fire them up.
Yeah. I mean, I have some of the ones that I watch regularly. I was going to mention this one too, just because I have it on my stack over here, but I picked this up. Which is the Star Trek 10 movie collection for like $30 for all 10 movies. Now I had some of these before, but I had like a copy of Nemesis and First Contact and some of these other ones on a DVD from Blockbuster or something like that. And I thought, wow, this is a great way to just, upgrade everything. And I think this is still a deal out there for like $30.
I think it is
for 10 movies. Can you believe it? And these are all digital too. So I was able to use the digital because usually for digital, for me, it's more of like a convenience thing. If it's something I watch all the time, if it's a movie I watch all the time, I don't want to have to pull it. I'll just have a digital copy, and then my wife and I can watch it whenever we want to. But yeah, I thought that was an amazing deal as well. So there's some great deals out there still.
There are
for those that are interested in physical media.
I mean, you can get I guarantee you that combo you just bought with the movies physically and digitally, probably a lot cheaper than the digital only.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Vanessa's saying too, that half of her collection is digital. And I know she's talked about this in other places, but she's more of a minimalist too. And I consider myself to be a minimalist in that I just collect, I pretty much just collect the movies. I'm not collecting as much music anymore. Although I do have some vinyl and I do have some CDs, but I've kind of stopped collecting that, and then I'm just more or less collecting movies and TV shows. I think the other thing I picked up too, which I know you had some discussion about on is on the Amazon Prime Day. I picked up the Complete Odd Couple for like a really cheap. I can't remember how much it was. Yeah, it was cheap, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was $20.
It was like $20. I mean, you can't go wrong for that.
No.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff out there like that. The Bob Hope deal, it was 21 Bob Hope movies for $14.99, some of which are not on Blu-ray. And I was like, yeah.
Absolutely. Got to have it, right?
Yeah. Because where else? I mean, well, that's a whole other topic. And I don't want to introduce like a lengthy topic. But I mean, when somebody goes away physically, where are you going to find it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I am minimalism. I really do. Bree is a minimalist, legitimately. So that's why we don't have conflict over it either, because we both want each other to be happy, but it's just trying to balance okay, PJ. So this goes out of print physically. I guess maybe it's on iTunes. It's probably on iTunes, but I just worry about like some of the stuff is
going to be gone.
It's going to go up in smoke.
It's going to be gone. Yeah. Yeah, and then we're just the new librarians that are sharing this information around. And so if you want to see that thing, you're not going to be able to see it. The other thing too is even on streaming, things are getting edited, right? And so that's a problem too, where things are being removed off a streaming service, edited, and re-uploaded or whatever they're doing there.
Yeah.
So I'd rather have the director's cut. I want to see what the artist originally intended. I don't want to see a cut version of a film that you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I know that's happening a lot too. Ian was saying to check out your interview with Mill Creek's Barrett Evans. Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm really proud of that interview. I mean, I'm really proud of that interview.
That's cool. Yeah, it's a good one. That's a really good one. So,
and he was very open about stuff. He wasn't guarded. He came ready to talk about stuff. He talked about packaging. He talked about why they make certain decisions. It was very open, and I really appreciated it. One of the things that I wanted to do is try to put faces to. In the fan community, it's very easy to think of these companies as just faceless companies and not people who are just like us that are trying to make decisions that are in the best interest of everybody. And that interview really, like, because I'm not a huge fan of some of those Mill Creek packaging issues, like the floppy thin cardboard and stuff. But then you say, okay, well, we're shipping this many out and we have so many percentage of units that have dislodged discs that have to be replaced, usually at direct. You have to mail those to the customer. Like, it makes sense why some of the decisions are made, especially if you're trying to keep costs as low as they can be. Yeah, which is they're a budget label that is on the cusp of being something much bigger. And we're seeing it happen.
Well, it's good to support those labels too, because they're the ones that are, we need to, what I try to do in the sales anyway is to buy some from Mill Creek and buy some from Kino Lorber, Warner Archive, Indicator, any of these labels that we really appreciate. As you've said many times on your channel too, you've got to show them the love, in order to keep things going, right? Especially in these days too. Right. I mean, I picked up the Mill Creek Mad About You set because you can't get Mad About You as a show, which I really love. And in fact, they showed on Spectrum Cable they did a new season of Mad About You. And my wife and I were watching that, and we said, "Well, let's get the old season." And I think it's a Mill Creek release, right? I'm pretty sure and so we picked that up. I mean, the quality of the show is not the best, but it's available, right? I can see the show because I can't see it anywhere else, right? I was hoping that at some point it would get a Blu-ray release because I love, just because I like the show so much. But
yeah, same thing with Royal Pains, which is that just came out on DVD from Mill Creek. And it's not part of their marketing for that was it's not on Hulu. It's not on Amazon Prime. It's not on Netflix. Like, that's it. You only see it there, which is crazy that we're living in a time, this stuff just goes away. That's that fear. That's that fear that I was talking about. It drives a lot, like so much. I don't like that about myself, but I do buy things like these TV shows, The Odd Couple, $20 for The Odd Couple. I can't say that fear of that disappearing wasn't a factor of picking that up.
Yeah, it absolutely has to be. And sometimes I look at something for, I've had this happen a bunch of times. Maybe you've had this happen too, is I'm watching something on Amazon or another site or something like that. And I go, I really should get that. And then I think about it some more and then it's gone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I go, why didn't I just get it? I mean, it's not, and again, I know it's tough times, for people. And I definitely understand that and have compassion for that too. But if you can get it, if you can afford it and support some of these companies, it's the best time to do it right now, right? Because they need they need your help if you can.
And they're working harder than they ever have to serve us.
Yeah.
I mean, I see it. I get a little bit of a glimpse behind the scenes, and I can tell you these people are working like crazy because it's now with pandemic and everything, like this is the time for home media. And I don't know that this is the end. I don't know that this is the last gasp, but I do think we're seeing some things that exist maybe because of the pandemic. With that Shout Factory, the Friday the 13th box set, would that have happened if not for the pandemic? All those companies coming together? I don't know. Maybe.
It's hard to know. Yeah.
It happened for Halloween, but that was years ago. And so I think there's a lot of things that are happening right now. Listen, Warner Brothers and is it Universal? So they just partnered distribution behind the scenes where they're going to share warehouse space because the demand for physical media is less. So they've partnered together and they said, listen, let's share infrastructure. We'll share distribution, housing and stuff like that. That never would have happened before this year. So
right.
They're working for it's a two-way street, and we support with our dollars, as I always say.
Yeah. And maybe that's where we're headed again. Dave was asking here in the chat about the thing we talked about at the beginning. We've talked about this in the beginning, Dave, a little bit about Apple snagging up, the peanuts, Charlie Brown, it's a great pumpkin, Charlie Brown. And it's going to happen more and more, right? Because people are looking for that, that revenue share that they're looking for. Hey, I have to get Apple Plus now to get the Charlie Brown specials. But if I have it in my own collection, I don't have to worry about that. Right. So
Yeah.
So
the stuff that we love, and it's hard to look at it this way, but company. So Mill Creek, MVD, Kino Lorber, Shout Factory, Scream Factory. These are labels that do what they do because they love this stuff. You get to the studio level, these are properties. These are intellectual properties meant to be franchised, meant to be profited on. From what I understand, Disney ABC sold the rights to the Peanuts. They sold that to Apple for I mean, it's a viable business decision.
Sure,
and it is a viable business decision. The stuff that we love, it's just pawns on a chessboard.
Yeah.
And so don't let other people play chess with the stuff you love.
Exactly right. And like I said, like I was saying earlier, I'm able to build my own, list of shows to watch every night. I can have my own programming if I want, right? I can say I can have an episode of this, And that's kind of how I start to work down some things too, because if I get like the Battlestar Galactica set is one thing I got too. So I watch a Battlestar Galactica and then I watch a Scooby-Doo and you know what I mean? And so you can kind of do that, and you don't have to worry, is it on a streaming service? Do I have to find it somewhere? You can build your own programming that way. So,
yeah.
But anyway, I think we're just about an hour here. We've got a few people in the chat here. So if you have any final questions, let us know. Maybe we'll go for another 5 minutes and then we'll say so long.
I do want to put a happy face on this though, because this is a fairly doom and gloom conversation about like the pawns on the chessboard and stuff. But what a privilege that we're able to do that, because we have more at our disposal than anyone has ever had before. Any generation of movie fan, film fan, TV fan, they didn't have access to stuff like we do. You got the VHS stuff in the 80s, but you look at some of the old timers, the people who are in their 70s, like film fans in their 70s and stuff, to get the movies they wanted, they had to buy film. You had to buy the canister of film and project it on your basement wall or however,
right.
Have a screening room. Like we're being served in a way we have never been served before. So it is a blessing. I mean, it's crazy times too. It's the best of times. It's the worst of times, but
ultimately we are supporting studios and things like that, because as you mentioned, moving the specials over to Apple was a business decision to be made to keep their company alive, right?
Yeah.
In some way. So any way that we can support physical media, because I totally agree with you, and I think it's one of the reasons that I watch your videos and your channel is because physical media is alive and well, I think. And so as much as we have these conversations, I think all of us in the film community, we're trying to keep it alive in a way, right? With our individual contributions. And again, as much as you can, understanding everything that's going on in the country right now, understanding that people are having some hard times, whatever you can do is good, to get a movie or to get something that's on sale or something that you like, that brings you some joy. Because, for me, all these films, all these TV shows, they bring me joy. That's why I get them. You know what I mean? So, so I think as much as we're looking at the industry and seeing what's happened, there is a bright side to it, as you were saying. So Northern Light said, AJ says, what of the upcoming releases are you most anticipating? I don't know if we have an answer for that one, but I think I said the Bond film, but I don't know. I don't know if there's anything you're waiting for that's coming out that you're interested in.
Tim, are you talking about like theatrical, or are you talking about like home media? Home media, my immediate, they're weirdly both Mill Creek. It's the Hammer box set and Inner Sanctum Mysteries with Lon Chaney Jr. I'm super excited about both of those. The Total Recall 4K that's coming out has a new 1-hour documentary on Carolco Films from Daniel Griffith's Ballyhoo Films, Ballyhoo Motion Pictures. And I really want to, like, I've seen Total Recall a bunch of times, but I want to see that documentary about that company.
Interesting.
Theatrically, I'm nothing. I can't think of anything.
Well, the Mill Creek, I mean, you mentioned the Mill Creek side. I can't wait for that to go. I think it's coming in November, right? So I'm looking forward to that one for sure.
There's a Rita Hayworth set that I am equally excited about. I should say that. I feel like they kind of announced the Rita Hayworth set and the Hammer Films box set on the set, like it came out at the same time, and one of those I think maybe got a little bit buried. The Rita Hayworth set kind of got buried, but she's awesome. Rita Hayworth.
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of the other questions, Will says, what is the movie without a Blu-ray that you would most like to see releases on Blu-ray? If there is one. I mean, there's plenty, right?
So much. I did a crossover with Films at Home where we kind of talked about our 5 most wanted movies that didn't have Blu-rays, and some of the ones on that list have come out on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray already, yeah.
Wonder Boys is the one I always wanted. Wonder Boys, Michael Douglas, Robert Downey Jr., Frances McDormand. I really wanted that movie on Blu-ray, and it got announced. It's coming out on Blu-ray. So I think January. So that's the only one that I can really think of that.
That's one of my favorite Dylan songs. Is the theme to that movie. I really like that. I love that. I love that song. Yeah.
A lot of Bob Dylan impressions around the house too, Dave. Just so you know.
Oh yeah, a lot of Dylan.
Yeah. Young and old Dylan. Yeah.
Nice. I was looking forward to the 7. I know the 7-Ups, that movie from the 70s, had a Twilight Time Blu-ray release, which again, this is another one I lost out on.
Yeah.
But I've been looking for, and so I would love to see that come out somewhere else on Blu-ray. That's not, because some of those Twilight Time releases wound up in other places, right? That you could get for a short period of time. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what site it was, but
Hamilton Book. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
Some of them were like $7.95.
Why don't we do a final question here? Ian says, does Heath have a long-term goal with Cyril at Midnight? This might be a big one. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big, I do. Yes, of course I do.
Let's hear it.
I want Cyril at Midnight to be the sort of brand that Chris Hardwick turned the Nerdist into. He has Nerdist podcasts. He has Nerdist. A website, everything. He turned this thing into a brand marketed towards the geek audience. And I gotta be careful.
That's okay.
It's not, because what you say on the internet lives forever. I gotta be careful.
That's true.
There are people that have positions in some of these outlets that don't necessarily. Okay, hold on.
It's okay.
It's one of the. Okay. I want to connect people who have particular areas of expertise to that particular field of interest. So for someone that really loves comic books, I would love to be able to, as Cyril at Midnight, be able to facilitate, okay, this is the Cyril at Midnight comic book arm led by this mega comic book fan. This is the video game arm led by, because I'm kind of tapped at what I can do by myself. And I'm looking for my Ocean's 11 to kind of do certain things. And so that's like bigger, more avenues covered by people that you can absolutely trust, who know what they're talking about and who have done the work on those things.
No, but that's such a
go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that's a great vision. Keep going, because I think that's a great. That's a great idea. That's a great vision to have.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, anyway, I think we've answered. I think we've covered it, Heath.
Yes, I think we did. That was a lot of fun.
Covered it. Yeah, it was great. I really had a lot of fun. You can see what a fan I am. I have my Cyril at Midnight t-shirt on, and I'll put the threadless link down below as well with all the other socials. I could say social. I feel like I'm so modern when I say the socials.
Yes, down below. Socials, babe. I'll have all the socials. People can slide into my DMs.
Slide into your DMs and all that kind of thing. Yeah. But listen, I want to say thank you. I so appreciate you. I so appreciate all the content that you have. Say hello to Bree for me.
I will.
I love your channel, and this is no mystery to you, but I just really appreciate all that you do and all that you do for the film community. You're really inspiring to me, and I want you to know that from the bottom of my heart. So thanks for doing this today. And if you want to stick around, I'll end the live and we can chat for a couple more minutes, and then
sounds good. Thanks so much for having me. That means a lot, Dave. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone that joined us too. And if you're watching on the replay, leave a comment below. Let us know what you're watching, what you're doing, any thoughts you have. Keep the conversation going. We really appreciate it. And
I want to answer Dave's comment about The Abyss, but I know we're out of time.
Oh no, go ahead. Yeah, go for it.
James Cameron has had The Abyss and True Lies in 4K on his desk for years now, waiting his final approval, and he will not approve them. He says he's too busy. So
I have The Abyss on DVD. I have that there's like a collector's one that I picked up, but that's it, right? That's all there is, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that. Yeah.
Yeah. DVD was the last release for that.
Anyway, thanks everyone in the comments. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think, and we'll talk to you soon. Yeah.
All right.